Hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a busy weekend here. My wife's sister came to visit along with her son, and we did a lot of stuff all around Atlanta. We went to IKEA yesterday. My best purchase, I got a kids table, like a little table for my kids to sit at with 2 chairs for $50. Where can you get a table with 2 chairs for $50? And we're back into the swing of things here today. I'm going to talk about one thing that is not on here before I get into other things. Right now, we are in the middle of our spring sale. So if you are looking to buy anything in game, everything in game is like at least 25% off. If it's newer, it might be more than 25% off if it's on a launch discount. But if there's anything that you've been waiting on, now's a good time. We also have our Founders Editions on sale on Steam as part of the Steam spring sale. And we are also running double worshipers through tomorrow morning. So if you need to grind out some worshipers, good time to play. And I believe the double worshipers will turn off when Gilgamesh goes live tomorrow morning. So real quick, just letting people know about that before we get into the rest of the update. We are heading straight into OB31, the King of Uruk update. The King of Uruk is Gilgamesh. He has melee basic attacks, he has physical damage, and he scales off of strength. He has an all-new passive. There's now specific quests that will unlock upgrades for your abilities. So for your 1, you extend the buff to max by hitting only gods 3 times. For the dropkick, you dropkick a target into a god 3 times. Hero's Advance, you kill or assist 3 gods affected by Hero's Advance's damage bonus, which we'll talk about in a second. And for Winds of Samash, this actually is just dropkick a target off the wall 5 times. Quest you complete gives 100 gold plus the upgrade. Plus ones for the abilities. The dropkick, they get a bonus burst intoxicated when they're knocked into a wall now. The Hero's Advance now has a sweet spot in the center where when you land the center, shot calls that target to deal more damage to that target. And once you upgrade it, it now attaches to you as a beacon that your team runs towards to faster rather than just leaving it on the ground. Winds of Shamash will start to tick really quickly once it's upgraded. We also have a sweet new aspect that will release on Friday, which I believe is the 27th. This is a sweet new aspect. Does away with his ultimate and instead replaces it with a new 4th ability, which is a wind wall, which transforms once with the next ability you use. If you use your 1 after placing the wall, it becomes a burning wall. If you use your dropkick after placing a wall, it becomes an impassable wall, like an Amir wall. If you leap after placing your wall, it becomes a knock-up wall, kind of like Jingwei Tornado or a Moja portal. So it's really fun. It gives you so many different gameplay options. Hopefully you guys have fun experimenting with that when it comes out on Friday. Next, we've got a bunch of item balance. So first thing, changes from PTS, from when we last talked about this. Echo has been decreased. It was 40% bonus damage and 20% on ultimates. It is now 30% bonus damage on regular abilities and 15% on ultimates. Also, Pathfinding now considers movement speeds diminishing returns. This should make it significantly weaker than if you played in the first day or 2 of PTS. We've made some bug fixes. Some items were giving adaptive stats in addition to their base ones, which was not intended. Some items were permanently giving stats. Resolute Mantle was providing significantly higher health per second than listed, so it was way too good. And Echo was multi-procking off of some on-damage effects, so that is fixed. And lastly, we are watching out for Gem of Focus and Tekokagi. We may nerf these quickly if they're needed, just as a heads up. What are these new stats? I will just very quickly explain them. 5 new stats coming. So we've got Plating, which is mitigation against basic attacks. Dampening is damage mitigation against abilities. Tenacity is basically CC reduction right now. We have Pathfinding. Pathfinding is movement speed, but it diminishes tremendously while in combat. When an ability echoes, it will deal 30% of its damage additionally, and I will answer the question of, does Echo use the same tech as crit where it is less often to get consecutive crits or misses? Yes, it does use the same tech. New items. So tier 2 items. These are basically the component items that provide the new stats. So we have Plated Metal, which gives you plating. We have Runic Hide, which gives you dampening. We have Bowl Drum, which gives you echo. We have Boots, which gives you pathfinding. And we have Cleric's Cloak, which gives you tenacity. Wait, it's not guaranteed to echo the damage? Then we have some new tier 3 items that are really interesting. So we have Kinetic Cuirass, which is 2,400 gold, 15 plating, and 300 health. After being damaged by 5 attacks from gods, your next attack unleashes a shockwave, even if it misses, that deals 40 plus 4% of your health damaged. Radiant Bulwark is 2,750 gold, it's 15 plating, 20 of each protection type, and has an active where you create a wall of light that grants allies behind you all of your plating, dampening, and half of your protections from enemies on the other side of the wall. But you can't do anything else while you're holding this shield. Doublet of Binding Gives you 15 dampening and 400 health for 2550 gold, and has an active that lets you link to a target, redirecting 20% of the damage they take to you up to 600 health. This damage is mitigated further by your dampening stat. Wormskin Hide is 2600 gold, 40 strength, 10 dampening, 250 health. When you hit a god once every 8 seconds, you will gain 20 dampening against them. Alchemist Coat, this one's fun, 2350 gold, 15 dampening, 400 mana, 2.5 mana per second. When you use a consumable, gain 10 dampening for 8 seconds. If you have an open inventory slot, get a multi-potion once every 60 seconds. So you're getting multi-potions every 60 seconds that you can use to trigger this extra dampening. Mercury's Teleria, these are new boots. They are 2500. They're adaptive. They either give you 40 strength or 70 intelligence, 12 pathfinding, and as you move out of combat, store energy. Your next non-ultimate ability deals up to 20% more damage based on the stored energy. If it was a movement ability, deal up to 30% more damage instead. Resolute Mantle, 2750 gold, 550 health, 20 tenacity. Passive, when hard crowd controlled by an ability, you get 25 health regen and 10 tenacity for 4 seconds. So that takes you up to 30 tenacity, which is quite good. This effect can stack. When these stacks fall off, gain 0.5 health regen and 1 tenacity permanently, and these can stack up to 20 times. Will there be new art for these items tomorrow? No. So as you see these items tomorrow, they will be using our designer MS Paint temp art because we wanted to get these items into the game and not wait for good art. And we wanted to see how players felt about them. Better for us just to get it in the game so that you can play them and then see how you feel about it. Shroud of Vengeance, 2500 gold. 20 physical protection, 20 magical protection, 20 tenacity. When you're hard crowd controlled, a shockwave is triggered around yourself, dealing 50 plus 40% of your protections up to 650 physical damage. Damaru. Damaru is 2750 gold. It's 40 strength, 20 crit, and 20% echo. When you critically strike, increase your ability damage by 10% for 5 seconds. When you echo, increase your attack damage by 10% for 5 seconds. Each can stack 3 times. Omen Drum. 2800 gold. Adaptive, 55 strength or 90 intelligence, 30% echo, active for 5 seconds. All enemy gods and jungle monsters you hit with an ability are marked. After duration expires, 15% of all ability damage you dealt to marked targets is echoed to marked targets. Tekokagi is having a stat change. It now no longer grants movement speed, it now grants pathfinding. And those stats are longer. It no longer has cooldown reduction, and now has attack speed, and it has decreased strength. Gem of Focus is no longer granting movement speed. It's going to give you pathfinding, and it's giving you more intelligence. The Crusher is now going to grant echo, no longer grants cooldown rate. The Cosmic Horror no longer grants mana or mana regen. It now grants echo, and if your echo is higher than your cooldown rate, you gain 20% echo damage. If your cooldown is higher than your echo, gain 35 intelligence. If they're equal, you get both effects. Spectral Armor. Cost should be the same that it has been, but it no longer provides physical protection. It now instead provides plating. And you also now take minus 25% damage from critical strikes, and ability critical strikes are mitigated by your plating. So kind of fun. Spectral Visage has been removed because Spectral Armor able to fill the gap that we wanted it to fill previously, where it should be good against both magical attackers and physical attackers. Leviathan's Hide, removing the physical protection and adding plating and increasing the health. Mantle of Discord, removing the physical and magical protections, adding dampening and adding tenacity and increasing the cooldown rate. Shoguns of Fuda, removing the magical protection, adding dampening. Spirit Robe, decreasing the magical and physical protections and adding tenacity. Pharaoh's Curse is removing the physical and magical protections and getting plating and attack speed. Vampiric Shroud now provides lifesteal, 0 to 4%. God ability hits no longer provide triple health and mana recovery effects. And Soaked Shroud, that's a tongue twister, now provides lifesteal 8%. And God ability hits no longer provide double the health and mana recovery effects. Cool. I'm going to take a deep breath. Back to the God balance. Amaterasu is getting a buff. Her 1 is now not going to scale up the shield health. It's just going to start at 8% and stay at 8%. And the attack speed will scale up a little bit earlier. I think the thought is you're probably going to put 1 point into this early, and it wasn't quite giving you enough for that 1 point. So making it a little bit better early is that 1 point level. Dazzling Offensive, your ult, also is going to be on a shorter cooldown. Charon is getting a buff. His Spectral Surge cooldown is reducing from 15 to 13 seconds. And his 2 was not properly applying the attack speed slow, so we have fixed that. In addition, the aspect, so we've added 40% bonus damage to minions to the 1, which should allow you to clear a little bit better. You still should be not super strong early game, scaling to be a stronger character later in the game as Charon aspect, but hopefully this just helps make that early game a little bit less hard. Daji is getting a nerf. Her 1,000 cuts will have decreased movement speed from 40 to 30%, and her Trickster Spirit will have decreased damage scaling from 80% to 70% strength. Discordia is getting nerfed. Her dash, is getting increased cooldown at lower ranks. So it was 14 seconds all across the board. Now it is 16, scaling to 14. Geb Aspect is getting nerfed. The base health and health per level that Geb gets while in Aspect is decreasing. His protections and protections per level are decreasing. Hercules is getting nerfed. He's getting less base health and less health per level. So he'll have about 200 less health at level 20. And the Aspect is going to get 7.5% additional base health and health per level, which will put him very close to his previous health. Khepri is getting a buff on the base and a nerf on the Aspect. His Abduct will now have more protections, so you will be tankier while you are abducting, and his Scarab's Blessing will grant more strength and intelligence. Aspect, however, his Abduct will not have protections. Morgan Le Fay is getting a nerf. Her ultimate is getting decreased projectile damage scaling from 45 to 40% intelligence. Ninja Aspect is still good, so we want it to be less good. We are decreasing the base heal by 10 scaling to 30 and decreasing the percent on the stored Righteous Spirit heal from 50 to 35%. Newt is getting nerfed on her Aspect. She will get minus 12.5 base attack damage and attack damage per level. So will be a less good attacker while in Aspect form than in base form. Pele, base is getting buffed. She is getting increased damage on her 10 base damage plus 5% increased damage scaling. Her 3 is getting 5 increased base damage and 10 increased amp damage. And the above buffs do not apply to her Aspect. Ra is getting buffed. His solar ray duration is just going to be 4 seconds instead of 2 scaling to 4 seconds. And solar blessing, increased healing per tick. Scylla is getting a little bit of a buff. She's going to get 2 mana regen per maxed ability instead of 1. And Crush now does 20% bonus damage to minions and juggle monsters. The Morrigan is getting a buff. Her 2 will be dealing increased damage, going up 15 across the board. Thor Aspect is getting a nerf. His Aspect will have his passive give him decreased protections per stack and decreased healing. Xbalanque will have a decreased cooldown on his darts and decreased cooldown on his Rising Jaguar as you level it up. So 1 point, it's going to be the same as it was, but later game, he'll be able to dash slightly more frequently. Cool. I'm going to take a deep breath. Also in this update, we will have a new feature, which is Anti-Lever 2.0 Phase 1. There's some more stuff that we want to get done as part of this that did not make this update, but I think this initial round of things should improve the experience for everybody, and I'm going to talk through it all right now. First, notice that this does not apply to training, jungle practice, quick play versus AI, or custom. It only applies to classic and ranked. The first thing that is happening is the in-game anti-leaving timer. If you push escape and then try and leave game. We're increasing the cooldown on that from 5 seconds to 10 seconds that you have to wait. And we're changing the message to make it more clear that you should not leave matches. And if you do leave matches, you will be penalized. We've also made a fix to this to where this is no longer active in the end of match lobby for people that do want to just Alt F4 or quickly quit the game from an end of match lobby. You can do that. This is supposed to discourage people from leaving in the middle of games, not end of match lobbies. Next, we'll be introducing the concept of lever points. So if you leave matches or dodge lobbies, you will acquire lever points. Upon reaching certain thresholds of lever points, 2 things will occur. The first is that you will see a message that explains that your account has been penalized. Leaving matches is bad. You must type, I agree that you will not abandon future matches to proceed past this screen. The point of that is that we don't want this to be something that people just click through and ignore. Like, you actually have to stop and interact with this screen and hopefully look at it and understand, oh, I did something bad. I should not do this in the future. You are then penalized by being sent to a low priority queue for your next, I put X matches here because it depends on how frequently you are how many lever points you have acquired. This requires you to wait an additional amount of time before you will find a match. This time required to wait scales up with the number of points that you've acquired, and the number of matches that it lasts for also scales up. Playing matches without leaving reduces the number of lever points that you have, so eventually you'll get back down to 0 points, and you would have the lowest level punishment again. Our goal with this is not to be like, if I have a one match every once in a great while that my connection dies on or something happens and I have to leave, that's one thing. We really want to punish people that are doing this repeatedly, that are really causing issues. And you have to serve this penalty. This is not like a deserter penalty where it's counting down in the background while you're not playing anyway. You have to serve this penalty for the next however many games that you play. If you're in a party that is being delayed due to a low priority queue party member, the party is notified of this. You can, yell at your friend to stop leaving matches, which is a good thing that you should be doing. And players are notified in the end of match lobby that a leaver is being punished and has a penalty. AFK detection is being improved. Players are warned in-game for being AFK and kicked at a certain time threshold. If you are detected as being AFK, you are going to be punished as a leaver with an additional punishment of deserter, so you cannot immediately join back. There are ways that we can make this better, and I expect that this AFK detection will further improve, but this should be a step better than what we currently have in live, and we have room to keep making it better. Next, dodging penalties. If you dodge a ranked queue, you will lose 60 SR. Do not dodge ranked queues. Also, dodging any lobby grants lever points, which work the same way as we mentioned previously. Lastly, additional updates to the system are planned for future updates. Like I said, we do have quite a few more things that we want to get in, but this is what we were able to get in so far. One of the things that I know did not make this that we want to do is when somebody dodges, we want to make sure that we tell you the name of the person who dodged. So we're hoping to get a little bit more of this into the next update. And then depending on where it is, we may do another pass. We may switch our focus to something else that's a bigger issue and just kind of keep going, making the game better. So I'm just reading chat now. Won't this turn into a lot of people running around the fountain? So I think there's two things. First is that we do have this AFK detection that is going to be better, and we want to penalize people who are AFK. If people are not playing the game, you should report them. Also, if you find yourself in a situation, you can always still surrender. We don't want people to be in the mindset, I'm just gonna say gamers in general, but I think it's people are noticing it more in Smite right now, that if I lose the first 5 minutes of the game, I'm just gonna give up. And we want people to ideally change that mindset through this and through other things that we have planned, where they feel more like I should keep playing because it's a MOBA, and there are ways to come back in MOBAs. It's not the kind of game where your game is over because you're down early. There are some games that, yes, you are way down and you're not going to win, and you should surrender those games. That's why we have a surrender option. We believe that we should give people the option to get out of games that they don't want to be in. But I think that people are overutilizing surrender right now. Play the game, and if people aren't playing the game, you should report them. And if you want to get out of a game, you should surrender. But you shouldn't just surrender because, you got killed at level 3 and the rest of your team is winning, because that happens way too much. I'm just gonna go back to my camera for a second because I'm gonna spiel for a second. People miss a lot of their stuff, and it doesn't matter how far ahead you are if you miss an ability that is crucial to your team winning the fight. And that happens a lot in Smite. So you should not just give up, because I think that there are so many times where games look like they're lost and one fight goes the wrong way because players on one team play better than the other players, and then the game is all spun back around. A couple of gameplay changes we haven't covered yet. We have shifted the tower shot pre-fire, post-fire timing from 0.3.7 to 0.01.0. So previously there was a 0.3 second delay before a tower would fire its first shot. This removes that delay to match parity with Smite 1. It's not a huge buff to towers, but it should make them feel more responsive when targeting gods that dive you under tower. We've heard some feedback about, are towers too strong? Are towers not strong enough? Are they preventing people from diving me? How much should they prevent people from diving me? And we thought that this was a very important first step to be hey, the tower should at least lock on to targets quickly and start to deal damage quickly. And then from there, we can talk about if it's balanced or not. But we should at least get this first pass in there. Secondly, Arena, we have cut 5 seconds off the setup time. We felt like it was just slightly too long. On the other side, we cut the setup time quite a lot on Assault, and it was too much. So we're taking that back up from 60 to 75 seconds. Already live in the OB30 hotfix, but we're just mentioning it here. And we've also reduced the protection scaling on the minions in Assault because they were just getting a little bit too tanky as the game was progressing. Next, versus AI. We've added 2 new bots. Ares and Kali now have new AI bots. So if you want to play against an Ares or a Kali bot, we've done it. We've also improved the bot's aim prediction with some ranged projectiles, reduced the chance of Godbots using Blink to flee a fight. And we fixed Rawbot being able to place his ability 3, his healing circle, beyond maximum range. That bot was just hacking. And with that, it's 2:03, and I'm going to call it a day. Thank you all so much for $50. Where can you get a table with 2 chairs for $50?